What's going on, people? Welcome to another In Motion Football live stream. My name is Alam, and today we got another iteration of playoff landscaping. Shout out to everybody who's here. I see a bunch of my friends in here. Apologies for the delays, people. It is what it is. Happy to finally be here. I see Kings in the chat, Gale's in the chat, and Disco's in the chat. So shout out to all you guys. Shout out to everybody else that's watching live right now. 7 people locked in. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I see my guy Leon is in here as well. Anybody who might be watching this after the fact, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel too. We're going to get right into it, people. And today I got some new categories because I think the old categories were getting a little bit stale. And you know what it is, people. The focus of this stream is always conversation, not just about getting the content out there. So I thought that we were getting a little bit into the weeds in the wrong area by splitting the real threats and the potential threats. I think I don't think enough is accomplished there. And I think putting all the teams that we thought were playoff teams that weren't going to win a Super Bowl as just here to take up a spot, I think that also was kind of jumbling teams together that didn't belong together. So I present to you guys brand new categories. We got can go to a Super Bowl. So this is teams that I'm like, you know what? I like they have decent chances of actually winning the conference, right? The next tier is can win a playoff game. So I don't necessarily love this team's ability to go on and get to the Super Bowl, but they definitely can win a playoff game. Then we have here to take up a spot, which is this team will be in the playoffs, but they're just here to get slapped on wildcard weekend. That's what they're here for. And then we have in the hunt and get ready to learn scouting combine buddy. So this is what we're doing. I think it's going to change the conversation a little bit, and I think it's going to get us to actually get into the stuff that's important. So we're going to get right into it with the AFC people. Patriots and Jets, need I say anymore? They need to get ready to learn scouting combine buddy. They can start focusing on the draft. The Jets just fired their general manager, so whoever the new guy is, do not come in and try to think about the free agents to sign. Nope, get right into draft preparation, buddy. That's what you're here to do. So we're gonna obviously put those two teams there. Dolphins, they're in the hunt. So the Dolphins, I'll just go over to our website here to look at schedules. Dolphins are 4-6 with a game against the Patriots coming up, and then a game against the Packers on Thanksgiving. So if we assume they're 7-point favorites against the Patriots this weekend, if we assume that they get the win and get to 5-6, they then have a huge Thanksgiving game against Green Bay, where I think if they lose the game against Green Bay and drop to 5-7, I'll probably call like that'll be it for their season, in my opinion. But if they somehow, some way get that win and they can go 6-6, 4-game winning streak, some momentum against going into a matchup against the Jets, then their chances are fully revived. So they're still in the hunt. Miami is because of the schedule, but yeah, chances still aren't great. Buffalo, obviously, we saw how they played against Kansas City. Now, what I will say is that in the previous format, I had the Bills as a potential threat, and the thing that stopped them from being a real threat for me was just the fact that, like, you still see some, you see them just fall short in big games against Baltimore and the Chiefs. What I will say, though, is that when it comes to the Bills matchup against the Chiefs this year, what was new is that Josh Allen didn't turn the ball over, and that's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome that he didn't turn the ball over and that he's not turning the ball over. That being said, the Bills won a regular season game against the Chiefs. They've done that 3 times before. That's nothing out of the ordinary. And also, it was another close game when these two teams played. It came down to a 4th and 2 on the last drive. So this is pretty regular stuff for the Bills. Close games against Kansas City that could really go either way, that's normal. Regular season win against Kansas City, that's happened before. So while I think a lot of people are very encouraged about the Bills, and again, I think the big encouraging sign for me is that Josh Allen isn't turning it over. We still got to see some more. But like I said, I don't think picking, like really getting too nitty gritty about the teams in that top tier led to something that was like all that useful. So we scrapped the 2-tiered threat thing, and we just have can go to a Super Bowl. The Bills can absolutely go to a Super Bowl, and that's why they belong there. The early time where the Bills beat us in the regular season, then we beat them in the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl. Yeah, see, Disco, this is you're talking about stuff that falls in line with what I'm saying. Like, none of what happened is new. this is stuff we've seen before, and they have to make a lot out of it because that's their job in the media. But like, come on, this is where the real conversation happens, which is it was a good, encouraging game for Buffalo, but it's nothing we haven't seen before. I'm so happy my Celtics are going to beat the Cavs. Okay, you got a big win from the Texans yesterday, big win for the Celtics today. Jared Brown is a happy man. But we're going to pivot to the AFC North, where the Browns go in the gutter. By the way, I think they looked even worse than I expected them to look. I kind of expected them to be able to do something against a bad Saints team, and they didn't. So Browns, you guys are officially dead to me. And then the Bengals, obviously, you know what though? I think mathematically they have to be in the hunt, but I'm kind of conflicted about the Bengals because can they? You know what? Let me look at their schedule. Ravens below the Bills. Okay, wait, we're gonna get to that for sure. But right now, Cincinnati at 4-7. They get the Steelers twice. They get a bunch of soft matchups here with the Cowboys, Titans, and Browns. But the Broncos once and the Steelers twice. You know what? You know what? I gotta put them in the lowest tier. I think it's over. Because the two matchups against the Steelers, that's tough. You're guaranteed to lose at least one of them. That puts you at 8 losses. Are you going to run the table, like play perfect football, win every other game? I don't think so. So we're going to put the Bengals in the lowest tier. And then Ravens and Steelers, we just saw them play each other. Now, they played a very close game, and I'm putting them both in the same tier of can win a playoff game. Now, for much of this streaming activity, Baltimore's kind of consistently been above Pittsburgh. And I think part of the reason I wanted to change things was to factor for this and how you can't really put Baltimore ahead of Pittsburgh at this point. I don't think that's necessarily something we can do. They definitely belong in the same tier. And I think if there's anything we learned about Baltimore, is that they're a mistake-prone team until they prove otherwise. I think they play pretty good against the Bills consistently, but all the other good teams, you saw mistakes when they played the Chiefs on opening night and when they played them in the AFC Championship game. You saw mistakes against Cincinnati. You saw a bunch of them. What other opponents? Oh, Steelers. Obviously, you saw last year when they went to Pittsburgh. I think they had 8 drops. They had an absurd number of drops. This year they go to Pittsburgh, 2 fumbles, 2 missed field goals, a botched 2-point conversion at the end. The Ravens just have this mistake-prone thing about them, and you combine that with their lack of pass defense, which didn't really show up in this game. I actually think this was a pretty atypical game for both teams. I don't think either team I think the rivalry between Baltimore and Pittsburgh, it really took over this game, right? So that's kind of my thought about those two teams. I think with Baltimore, you consider the fact that they have the weak pass defense, they have the history of making mistakes, and then you account for the fact that if they don't win their division, they're a 5 seed that has to go on and win a bunch of road playoff games. Winning road playoff games without a reliable defense and no discipline, it's a tall task. So look, I definitely think they could win. I could not put them in the here to take a spot tier, but I'm also not putting them in can go to a Super Bowl right now because I just don't believe it. And then with the Steelers, I think it's much of what I've already talked about with the Steelers. I feel like I'm sold on their defense, and I feel like I'm sold on the fact that their offense won't necessarily shit the bed. But am I sold on the fact that their offense will, in a big moment, really show up and make the plays that they need to make? I just haven't seen it enough yet. This was an opportunity for them to show me something, and the game just didn't dictate that, right? I think 6 field goals is what they needed to win the game, so they did it. But we all aren't impressed with the Ravens defense. And again, if this wasn't a rivalry, I would actually be pretty critical of Pittsburgh's offense. But again, this is such a physical, defensive AFC North kind of a rivalry that I look at this game and I say, I'm going to give them a bit of a pass. But again, I just haven't seen it yet with the offense, and we need to see that. But the defense looks stellar. TJ Watt is a game breaker. But yeah, so definitely both teams belong in this tier. And then when we go to the next division, this is a hilarious division because, the Titans and the Jaguars belong in the lowest tier. The Jaguars are in such a funny spot, man. Such a funny spot. So, um, they every time Doug Peterson gets in front of a microphone, he says some of the funniest shit ever, in my opinion. Like he gets up there and he just sounds like somebody who, in one, like he's already like on the beach. He knows he's not going to be there next year. Yeah, it's just funny to see a man like have to act professional, but really like the undertone of everything he's saying is so just like, look, I don't think I have a purpose of being here, and I just have to be. So I'm here, but we all know the truth. So yeah, I think that's actually, sorry, I just realized I neglected the chat a little bit. The Ravens were still, but no, for real. I'm fine if we don't go to the Super Bowl. We just can't be a one and done exit. The Jags are cooked. They can't even draft a new QB. Yeah, they have to act. They have to act like Yeah, they have to act like they still believe in Trevor Lawrence. Yes, he's completely checked out. He's completely checked out. And like, here's the thing. I think in football, it's really, really hard to transition to a new coaching staff midseason. It's actually not even possible. It's not a productive thing to do. But I think the purpose of firing a coach mid-year is a situation like this where the whole world can tell that he knows he's not going to be here next year and he's checked out. Nobody benefits from this. The players can tell he's checked out. The fans can tell he's checked out. Everybody loses from a checked out coach leading a football team. Like, this is when you fire a coach mid-year, because you need to at least put somebody in that seat that is like at least that wants to be there. I'll put a very, very low threshold. But yeah, it's a mess in Jacksonville for sure. It's definitely a mess in Jacksonville. Next two teams, we're gonna look at the Colts and the Texans. So the Colts have to be in the hunt. I'm just gonna pull up their schedule really quickly because it is pretty interesting. I've talked about it on stream already, but like, you go up against the Lions this week, and that's an incredibly difficult matchup, right? But beyond that, you got games against the Patriots, Broncos, Titans, Giants, and Jaguars, all winnable games. So a Colts team that is 5-6 has a pretty respectable path to 10-7, right? And that's obviously much better than the Dolphins. So if the Dolphins have to be in the hunt, then the Colts have to. If the Dolphins are going to be in the hunt, then the Colts have to be as well. Anthony Richardson, I think, had his best game of his career last game. Now he did it against a defense that gives up 28 points a game. So, make of that what you will. The Jets defense has been a complete mess since they fired their coach. So it's not like he went up against some stellar unit, but I didn't think the 2 weeks off would do anything, and it seems like maybe it did. So at least there's that. That's a feather in Steichen's cap. But we'll see where it goes from here. Like, again, Detroit, you're going up against a team that should blow you out. However, it's not that their defense is amazing. Their defense is good. If Anthony Richardson has a really good day, he should be able to do something against the defense, right? Now, I don't think he's going to be able to go drive for drive with the Lions offense. That's for a foregone conclusion. But when you guys play the Lions, I think if you want to look at the Colts like prospects for the rest of the season, look at their offense and see, are they at least putting up something against the Lions? Because if they lose that game 38-24, I'm saying, you know what? That's Detroit. It is what it is. You're going to lose. But if they lose 38-3, then yeah, pack it up. Pack it up, because that means that AR's game against the Jets maybe just is an outlier, and it might be just because the Jets are horrible. And that kind of, like I said, takes the air out of the ball a little bit with what's going on with the Colts. No deflate gate, pun intended. And then the last team in this division is the Texans. And the Texans are such a here to take up a spot team for me, because I'm so convinced that they are going to win their division. They're going to be the 4 seed in the conference, and they're going to play either the Ravens or the Steelers on wild card weekend and lose. Like, I am so convinced that that's how this season is going to go. You can't tell me otherwise. Like, you cannot tell me that they're going to lose their division. You can't tell me that they're going to win their division and have a better record than the winners of the other divisions, right? And you can't convince me that the 5 seed is going to be anyone other than the Ravens or the Steelers. So this is kind of just, these are my thoughts. I think that the Texans are going to make the playoffs and proceed to bow out. I kind of left their game against Dallas thinking, you guys didn't actually have that convincing of a game, right? Like, the game turned when Dallas fumbled twice on the same play. But up until that point, it was 20-10, and the yardage in that game was pretty equal. I'll put it like this. I think what you're supposed to do to this Dallas team is what Philadelphia did to them. Philadelphia had the game, what was it, like 28-3, or I even forget the out. No, I think it was 34-6. And the yardage difference was huge. Cooper Rush had 45 passing yards. That's what you're supposed to do as a good team against the Cowboys, this Cowboys team post Dak's injury. If you look at what the Texans did, the Texans, what was it, like 14-10? Then it was 20. I think it was 20-10 at some point. It was a competitive game. Dallas was driving at different points. Dallas actually should have made it 20-13, but then they got a penalty on the field goal. It was just a bit of a mess, but exactly what King is saying here, like what Philly, Detroit, and the Saints did. I think the Texans actually had a pretty underwhelming game against Dallas. Again, the score looks amazing because of a defensive touchdown and because of garbage time, right? But when the game was actually being contested, the game ended when they scored that defensive touchdown, right? In terms of both teams trying. When both teams were trying, it was, if you look at the game, it was like 60-40 Texans. But yeah, pretty disappointed with Houston this year. They got some soul searching to do because they should not be in this situation. So we go to this last division here. Obviously, the Chiefs go to the top. The one loss doesn't discourage me in the slightest. They're going to get Pacheco back. Nothing really more needs to be said because we've all heard the same talking points about the Chiefs consistently. Oddly enough, I think having a loss and not having to entertain undefeated talk will kind of just let them focus on the game. Like, I don't think losses are that big of a deal in the regular season. I think how you're playing is, and they can just, again, focus on playing good football. Resting people if they need to be rested. It's just nothing got derailed for the Chiefs this weekend. Raiders, obviously in the gutter. It's getting crowded and there's 7 teams need to head to the combine. Only 9 teams that need to even think about the playoffs. The Broncos are here to take up a spot. So they're not in the hunt because their record is too good. But when it comes to the Broncos, right, they're obviously not going to win their division, right? Not going to happen at all. That much is guaranteed. So they're going to be a road wildcard team. I don't think Disco and Chiefs can depress worry because they lost to Buffalo in the regular. Of course not. But yeah, the Broncos are definitely going to be a road playoff team. Now, they're not going to be the 5 seed. In my opinion, I don't think they can have a better record than Baltimore or Pittsburgh. So they're going to be a 6 or 7 seed, and that means that they are going to play the 2 or the 3 seed, which is going to be Baltimore or Pittsburgh on the road, or who am I missing? Buffalo or Kansas City. Do I think Detroit is going to go into Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, or Kansas City and get a win with a rookie quarterback? Absolutely not. I think their defense is very respectable. That's better than respectable. It's good. They have a good defense. The offense has its moments, but I just don't think it's enough. So Denver is right where Houston is. If they somehow, some way get matched up in the playoffs. Wait, did I say Detroit? My bad. Shout out to Manj though. Big up. Good to see you. Like this video and subscribe as the man says. But yeah, if Denver somehow plays Houston, they should put that game on Tubi. They can put that playoff game on Tubi. I would be interested in your thoughts on those 7 teams, which you think will do well in TVE. Wait, is there a typo here, or am I unfamiliar with what TVE is? Oh, yes. That is definitely coming. So there will be a point where the content transitions into like prospects for next year, and we'll definitely do that. but yeah, glad to know that people are actually curious about that, because that's definitely something I'm interested in doing. And then the Chargers. So the Chargers, I think this is a team where conversation has to be had, because I think they have. Nah, you know what? They're here to take up a spot, and the reason they're here to take up a spot is a couple of things. It is, um, yeah, it's a couple of things. It is the the they're the Chargers, like, and I'm trying to find a different way to say it, but that's the only way I could say it. The Chargers are the Chargers, and they have this crazy luck in playoffs, right? It's a very snake bitten organization. Again, whoever has done the black magic on the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh is trying his best to counteract it, but he can probably only go so far. I say that all to say their defense, it's not there yet in terms of the secondary is not good enough, but they have a defensive line. They have an offensive line. Like, they have the core tenets of like what good football teams tend to be built on. They only have one what's it called? They only have they're only 1 year into their rebuild, so that's an issue. But yeah, the Chargers, again, as a road team, as a 6 or 7 seed, going into Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, or Buffalo on wildcard weekend, I can't see it. So this is what it is, people. We have the two true contenders at the top right now. We have the two teams knocking on the door of being contenders. Below that, we have the 3 teams that are very likely to make the playoffs, but realistically are just there to play on wildcard weekend and then go to Cancun 1 week later than everybody else. And then we have the 2 teams in the hunt that have very faint hopes of cracking the playoffs. That's how I see the AFC, people. This is the playoff landscape. And with that being said, we're going to pivot to the NFC now. The Chargers charging every year for 4+ years is just inevitable and needs to be studied. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like, their consistency with what they are is hilarious. But we're going to pivot to the NFC now. And we're going to start with the NFC East as always. So we got Dallas and the Giants immediately going to the bottom tier. The Giants just went to Tommy Cutlets, aka, what else do they call him? The passing paisan, aka, what else do they call him? I think that's all they call him. But yeah, they're turning to him, so you already know what that means for their season. Dallas Cowboys, say no more. We saw what happened against the Eagles. We saw what happened against the Texans. We're going to see these 2 teams play on Thanksgiving. Oh my God, that's going to be... Actually, you know what? That being the midday game on Thanksgiving is perfect for the Americans, because you guys on Thanksgiving can just sleep in the middle of the day, right? You guys can really just eat all you want to eat at the beginning of the day around lunchtime, get a good nap during the Cowboys game, and then get ready to go all over again afterwards. So I actually think that game serves a pretty unique purpose, but when it comes to actually figuring things out, hell no. Next 2 teams, we're going to put Eagles and can go to a Super Bowl. So when we had the old format, I put them at potential threats. I still think they belong. If we were to use the old format, they would be potential threats. I think when it comes to the Eagles, I'm sold on everything except the coach and the quarterback, which is kind of an ominous sign, because coaching and the quarterback is probably by far the 2 most impactful parts of a football team, right? But when it comes to the Eagles, it's not even the coaching as a whole. It's Sirianni's game management. I actually really think the 2 coordinators, Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore, are doing a pretty good job, respectively, of like strategizing and play calling. But when it comes to Sirianni's game management, pretty nervous. When it comes to Hurts, again, it's a very like segmented criticism. Like, I think he's running the ball as good as ever. Like, last year he wasn't an effective runner. Something happened. He was hurt. Maybe he was out of shape. I don't know. But this year he's back at it. Hurts, since the bye week, not turning the ball over. That's very encouraging. The only thing is just like he's just not seeing the field well. He's making the offense look worse than it is. If he were to see everything that's on the field and make the throws that are there to make, oh my God, we would just be a flawless football team, to be honest. the way it looks right now, but that's just not the case. So again, there's time for these things to improve. They're not going to suddenly become something different, but they can improve marginally. And that's why, again, like we definitely can go to a Super Bowl, especially in the NFC where there's not a lot of real contenders, in my opinion. But yeah, coach and quarterback, they need to get figured out at some point. And then the Commanders, again, product of what happens with the new format is I can actually safely say like they can win a playoff game, right? Now, why can't they win a playoff game? I think that they have a very high likelihood of being the 5 seed, right? I don't think they're going to win the division. I think we saw that much on Thursday Night Football. I think they're going to be. I think they have an easier shot at having a great record than the other wildcard teams because they're in a division with the Cowboys and the Giants, right? So they're not in the NFC North where every team is beating up on the other teams. So with them having that opportunity, if they're a 5 seed, their likely playoff opponents are Tampa, Arizona, maybe the Niners, maybe the Falcons. So, and I say what I'm building up to is that I absolutely think the Commanders could beat Atlanta or Arizona. Absolutely. I think they would run into trouble against the Niners and the Bucks if it were to happen that way. But because they're in the spot that they're in, they definitely have the opportunity to win a playoff game. So they definitely belong in this tier. And then to move on to this division, what do we have? Okay, Bears, get ready to learn Scout and Combine, buddy. I don't look again. We just talked about whoever did Black Magic on the Chargers having some really good Black Magic. The Bears Black Magic might be some of the best on the black market. This was wild. The fact that they lost the Hail Mary game and the field goal block game in the same year is unreal. I cannot believe that happened. And like I said, I talked about this on the stream. I think that might be like one of the worst kind of losses as a whole because, they're a struggling team. They've never really won games in this rivalry in the last like 5-6 years. They were looking at the post Aaron Rodgers years as an opportunity to finally beat the Packers. They still lost to Jordan Love for a while. They had as bad of a year as they've had. They fired an offensive coordinator, so maybe there's some new hope. You watch the game. Caleb Williams is playing better than he's had all year. So now you're seeing, oh, you know what? Maybe the offensive coordinator was holding him back. Maybe this is a new second half of the year. Like, again, so much has happened to have Bears fans thinking, hey, maybe this is going to be different, right? Going into the year, going into Caleb Williams' career, going into this week. There's so many things to make you think, hey, maybe things will be new. When Aaron Rodgers retired, so many times where life puts Bears fans in a spot where they might think, you know what, maybe this is going to be new. And then the most same old shit thing possible happened, which is that losing a game that way. So I don't know how Bears fans do it, but yeah, I don't know if you guys all have drinking issues. I don't know what it is, but salute to you guys, because that I don't wish that on anybody. Lions, it is what it is. On a weekly basis, they're steamrolling teams, so that's tough. For everybody else, they definitely belong in that top tier, and they're definitely, as of present November 19th, 2024, they're absolutely the best team in football. However, the best teams, on November 19th, tend not to win the Super Bowl. So we're going to keep exploring that idea as the year goes on. But yeah, the Bears have some serious black magic curse. It's the finest in the land. Okay, Packers, Vikings. So obviously, I think they both belong and can win a playoff game. So here's my rationale as to why, right? I think these teams are going to be the 6 and the 7 seed. And the thing is the 6 and the 7 seed have an opportunity to play you could run into the Eagles or the Lions. And I think in that case, I don't like either of these teams' chances. But if you're the 6 seed, you have an opportunity to play. Again, that 3 seed, it could be Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Arizona, or San Francisco. I like both of these. I think both these teams have at the minimum a decent chance against all 4 teams. So if they get the right matchup on wildcard weekend, both of these teams could win a game. What's up, Jen Will? I hate Darius Garland. He only needed to score 10 points to win me 1K. Oh, he didn't do it? Oh, fuck. Okay, hold up. Genwo, real quick, while you're here. We're going to take a brief pause to just give Genwo a look at the AFC landscape that we put together on AFC landscaping. Get a good look at it because we did different tiers this week. I thought that the tiers needed a change because I thought the old conversation was getting stale. Take a look at it. Put any of your thoughts you might have in the chat and we'll address it later. But back to the NFC, like I said, Packers and Vikings, I think, have to go and can win a playoff game because they might play the Falcons or the Cardinals. And if they do, I think both these teams can absolutely win. But it's very matchup dependent. I think if these teams run into, let's say, San Francisco or Tampa Bay, like I think the Packers' chances in those games are like 50-50. And the Vikings' chances would probably, I would put them at like 40-60. But I think both these teams have a chance to win a playoff game. So they definitely both belong and can win a playoff game. Lock it in. I'm all for Steelers winning a playoff game. Yo, here's the thing, Genwo. I talked about this. Whoever gets that 5 seed, whoever it is, Baltimore or Pittsburgh, I have them going to Houston and sending Coleridge Stroud the 4th home. That is my prediction as of right now. So yeah, that's what I got through these two divisions. That's what I got so far. Panthers, and Saints randomly winning games as of late, but also still definitely studying for the combine because it is over for both of these. The Saints' new manager bounce will dry up pretty soon, and at the end of the day, the Panthers are the Panthers, and they still have a pretty difficult quarterback situation. So it's done. Too many L's. Their season's over. Now, Atlanta and Tampa, I got to organize like this. I think Atlanta, as of now, their chances of making the playoffs really are pretty solid right now. That being said, people, I keep pointing this out. Tampa Bay is coming. Tampa Bay, look at this schedule. Off a bye week, you got Giants, Panthers, Raiders, Chargers. Look, that's a tough open game. But then Cowboys, Panthers, Saints. Tampa Bay is on the way, bro. Tampa Bay has an opportunity to win out and go 11-6. I know it sounds crazy, but even if they lose to the Chargers, they could win out and go 10-7. So Atlanta still has to get the job done as a 6-5 team that just took a crazy slapping. It does look like their trajectory is going the wrong way. But as of now, they still have a they have a 1.5 game lead. That's actually a 2.5 game lead because they have the tiebreaker on Tampa. So that's what it is, people. They have to be in here to take up a spot. But again, I don't give them a chance to win a playoff game, to be honest, because I think whether they're a 3 seed or a 4 seed, I think they lose on wild card weekend to either of Washington, Green Bay, or Minnesota. Atlanta is the team I have losing in the playoffs for sure. So if Tampa Bay would be in the lead, I would actually put them and can win a playoff game. But until Tampa Bay gets their wins up, they have to go in the hunt. And Atlanta, oh my God, they're here to take up a spot team if there ever was one. I do not believe in Atlanta. Their pass rush is not it. And yeah, the pass rush is not it. And I can only believe in this first year Kirk Cousins offense so much, especially with how things are going as of late. So that's how I have that division. And then guys, we've been here. We've been doing this for a long time. King, I'm going to let you announce it. King, where does the NFC West belong? We're going to give him time. All the time he needs. In the meantime, Genwo says, sorry, I just got to say this. What the hell is happening? Benjamin Simmons is balling out. He's balling out? Say word. What happened? Oh, he's balling out against the Hornets? You should have led with that. In the hunt. King knows. We've been doing this for a good minute. Throw the whole division in the hunt. That's what it is, people. This division is literally all 5-5 except the Cardinals, who are 6-4. The Cardinals have wins on a couple teams in the division, but because that's the case, I kind of think they're going to lose to the Rams and the Niners when they play them again, because with how even this division is, this isn't the sweep kind of a division, because even Seahawks Niners, which has been a one-sided rivalry as of late, even that season series got split. So, I mean, yeah, I think Arizona has some losses coming for that reason. And this whole division is in the hunt. They all have a chance. And for what it's worth, because they're such like mid teams in terms of their record, I don't think any team has a chance at a wild card. Their wild card hopes are completely done. So, yeah, with that happening, actually, I got a diversion on this topic. Something I watched on ESPN earlier talking about conference champions in college football being irrelevant. Okay, we can definitely get to that. But this is what I got for the NFC landscape, people. This is the playoff landscape as I see it in the NFC. 5 teams that have chances to win games. It's the Eagles. Look, we got the favorites in both conferences. Even the AFC, we got 2 teams in the top. That's really what the championship game should be as of now, in terms of like the 2 best teams in each conference, and we'll see how things go. But this is really gonna thin out. Like the way the AFC has 7 teams looking at the combine, the NFC should get 7 teams as well. Once the goddamn NFC West decides to figure out what they want to do. It's been a mess so far, but that's what's gonna have to happen. But yeah, to get to this, we're gonna change the screen up a little bit. That conference championships in college football being irrelevant. So what is the point there? Is the point that they're irrelevant because teams are all playing for the natty, and the natty is like, it's what gives teams like status, and like you're not going to attract recruits by saying, hey, we could win the SEC championship. Like the teams are all the players want to play for the natty. Like, is that the point? Because I kind of agree with that. And we're going to transition into the game previews, because there's not going to be a Thursday night football stream this week at all. We are not doing that. Browns Steelers, no thank you. I'm not doing a 3-hour live stream to watch the Cleveland Browns fail to play football against a very good football team. So that's not what we're gonna do. So because we're not doing that, we're gonna have a preview stream right now that we get into. We're gonna start with Steelers and Browns. Wait, hold on. What do you mean it's a good game? Hold on, are we talking about the conference championships? Like that final game? I mean, it's a good game, but like that's why I'm asking, like, what is the point that they made on ESPN? Oh, nah, bro, come on. Like, it's the Browns. Look at what they just did in the Saints. You think I want to watch that? Okay, no. Truth be told, it's just like a busy week, and like I would have taken time out of the week to watch a game that was like Eagles Commanders. But bro, that game is not going to be. Oh, okay, no, bro, this is not going to be a good game. We just you. What do you mean? It's a good game in what way? We know the outcome. We also know it's going to be a low scoring game, barring a Steelers like onslaught, right? That's the only way points are going to get scored. So no, I don't agree that it's a good game. Bro, you are going to get to enjoy the game whether I'm doing a watch along or not, regardless of what happens. Yo, I hear you. I hear the campaigning. But I will not be there. I actually legitimately cannot make it this Thursday. So we're gonna do the preview. Who probably said the same for, you know what, King? You got me here, because I definitely did. So if that game, you know what, we'll put a bet on it. I don't know if you can figure something good to bet. We'll put a bet on this, but I don't think that's going to be an entertaining game to watch. I think the Steelers are just going to dog walk the Browns, no pun intended. But speaking of the Steelers dog walking the Browns, we're going to look at this game preview. The Steelers are 3.5 road favorites, which probably lends to what you guys are saying. What is the over under? The over under is 36 points. I did look up the weather. It's supposed to be a rainy game, so like that's gonna add to, it's gonna be a low scoring AFC North football game. If the weather makes an impact, it's gonna be a slippery and defensive game. I don't really think the Browns have a shot, because the X factor that is Jameis, and the reason why he beat the Ravens is because I think he threw for like 300 yards against the Ravens, and the X factor that is Jameis is he might just throw the ball around the yard, and that might result in points. Like that's always possible with Jameis Winston, right? But the thing is, in a rainy game, it's not going to happen. That's not the right territory. So then you look at the Browns and you say, okay, they have Nick Chubb, but this is not the same Nick Chubb. This is Nick Chubb getting his footing back from a horrible knee injury. So they don't really have the ground game to play in the rain. They don't have the quarterback to play in the rain. I think the Steelers are going to give Najee Harris 35 rushes. That's an exaggeration, but they are just going to win the game that way. Russ is probably going to have like 175 efficient passing yards. And if I had to call a score, I don't know, 23-6. 23-6 Steelers. Genwell says I'm calling it 14-9 Browns. I don't hear you, bro. I don't hear you at all. Browns defense, they just gave up 30 something to the Saints. Hell no. Steelers are not scoring 9 points. Could start the game and then end it early with the fade of the stream. That would be funny. But no, that's a good idea, though. That's a pretty good fun. All right, here's the bet. It's between one score game at halftime. You're streaming. No, here's the thing, guys. I'm not joking. I actually have I have shit to work on this whole week. And I don't think I can carve out the time, regardless of what the things are. But yeah, we will be there. We will be there on Sunday for sure. Eagles Rams Sunday Night Football. I won't be gone for too long. But the next game we're gonna look at is Buccaneers Texans. Buccaneers Texans. What the fuck? Buccaneers Giants. So this is Tommy DeVito's first game. Tommy DeVito against Todd Bowles. Oh my god. What type of football terrorism is going to happen on a field when Tommy DeVito has to go against Todd Bowles? I think this is going to get ugly. I think Tampa Bay, if you look at their games, right, let me see what their last two games were. I think they were kind of ugly losses. Yeah, last two games. Loss against San Francisco, which was tough, right? They could have won. Loss against the Chiefs before that was tough. They could have won. And then a loss against you know what? They're on a 4-game losing streak. Oh my God. 4-game losing streak. Bro, they're going to destroy the Giants. 5.5? I'm taking 5.5 easy. Because they played well against the Niners. They played well against the Chiefs. They played well without receivers too. Now they have them. They're gonna score points against the Giants. I got the Bucks winning by like 17. I got this one being a blowout. Next matchup, Colts Lions. So like I said about this, right? I think the Lions are gonna score their points against the Colts, right? The only thing I'm thinking about is like sometimes AFC NFC games are weird. Like the way Lions and Texans was weird. If maybe there's a weird chance that, or there's a chance that it's weird in that way. I don't see it though. I think the Lions are going to get their points. I think the question is that are the Colts going to get their points? Because again, I don't think the Lions are a great defense. I think they're a good defense. And I think if AR found something, again, like a running quarterback is always an X factor, because if a quarterback just decides to run all over a defense and the defense has to make strong adjustments, you never know what that could open up. So like there's a chance the Colts get points too, but they're just not going to be able to outgun the Lions. I don't see that being possible at all. This is the game to end all the Colts' hope for a postseason berth. Yeah, this is, to be honest though, if you look at their schedule, they have a respectable chance of winning out from that point onwards. So yeah, Lions, they're favorites by 7. I would take Lions by 10 in this. That's how it feels for this game. I got the Lions by 10. Next game we're going to look at is Titans at Texans. So Titans at Texans. Texans are 8-point home favorites. I'm taking the Titans to cover this one because 1, it's a divisional game. 2, I'm not impressed with the Texans. 3, the Titans apparently played the Vikings very tough last week. According to SRFL, the Titans got robbed and the referees were needed to help the Vikings out against this team. So this is the thing. The Texans are home favorites by 8. I like the Titans. Like I'm not even like second guessing this one. I love the Titans here. Bro, the Texans they're just not it as a team. And like I said, the Titans just had a good game. They probably feel robbed. I like the Titans covering in this one. I still have the Texans winning, but I got them winning by like a field goal. John Christian Fairbairn gets the job done at the end of the game. Next game, Patriots Dolphins favorites by 7. So Patriots quietly have been playing some decent ball over the last 2-3 weeks, and the Dolphins were on. They blew the game open against the Raiders towards the end, but I want to say for 2.5 quarters, the game against the Raiders was competitive. I thought that was a bit disappointing considering how well I think the Dolphins played against the Rams. So I don't really know what to make about the Dolphins, but I do think that there's a chance that this game is ugly the way that divisional games can be ugly. So, like, I could see the Dolphins winning by 7, but really you look at that game and say it could have gone either way. When it comes to this result, because it's in Miami, I'm going to take them. I'm going to take the 7 points with Miami. But yeah, this is a game where I think that the Patriots, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes the way the game against the Raiders did, where it's a competitive game for a little bit and then the Dolphins blow it open and towards the end win by 2 scores. But definitely don't discount the Patriots in terms of making it an ugly game. We still can't stop the run. I mean, the thing is, against the Dolphins, you just have to hope they go away from the run then, because that's entirely possible. You never really know what Miami's going to do. Like, they're not a stay committed to the run kind of a team. I think they're more of they might get a few explosive runs then, right? That's the kind of rushing attack I think they are, but you just gotta hope they go away from it. Patriots 24-17. Jen Will got the hot takes here. He's got the Patriots by 7. You should bet on that. If that's how you feel, you should bet on that because that will get you a bag. Cowboys, Commanders by 10.5. Give me the Commanders by 30. Maybe not 30, maybe like 24. But Commanders coming off 2 really tough losses. They went up against a physical Pittsburgh team, lost on the last possession on a short week, went to Philadelphia, played a good, defense played well, offense played like shit. So they've had a very difficult 2-game losing streak, and I think it gets taken out against the Cowboys. I think they show up and this game is a blowout. What we saw against Houston was that Dallas is right now with Cooper Rush is a mistake-prone team that will make a close game a blowout because they did it against Philadelphia. It was 7-6 in the second quarter, Philadelphia against Dallas, and just it didn't matter how much they had some good things going for it or how long they had good things going for it because the mistakes happened and they ended up getting blown out. Against Houston, also quietly didn't play that bad of a football game until they all of a sudden did. Like, like with Dallas nowadays, it doesn't go that bad until it all of a sudden does. So against an angry Commanders team at home after the 2 losses, oh my God, I got the Commanders winning by 20 plus. I definitely like the Commanders in this one. Vikings, Bears. So when it comes to Vikings, Bears, we saw the kind of game the Bears had. My problem is that when I think rookie quarterback with no real OC going up against Brian Flores, I get scared. Now, again, I'm hearing from Serafel that the Vikings played horrible against the Titans. But again, I think sometimes AFC, NFC games are just weird. So I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they get the win here. Also, they're favorites by 3.5. But Eckler 60 rushing 1 TD, lock it in. Bro, you need to do a gambling segment on these streams. I like it. Okay, I'm hearing the Eckler one. I'm not hearing the Patriots score here. Like I said, if you believe this, put like, I don't know where you live, put like $20 on it. But yeah, Vikings Bears, taking the Vikings by 3.5. I don't know. I just don't know with the Bears, man. Like, again, they played as good of a game as you could expect them to play in a home divisional game, and they lost still. Again, could Sam Darnold show up, turn the ball over, and the Vikings play like they did, and they lose? Sure. So actually, that's what I'll say. If the Vikings play the way they did last week, they lose this game. However, I just don't think that's going to happen. So give me the Vikings. Next game, Chiefs-Panthers. So I'm taking the Panthers to cover here, right? The Chiefs are definitely winning this game. My thing about this game, though, is that, like, before I see it, I don't really think the Chiefs are a blowout kind of a team. And I'll explain what I mean, right? And I might talk myself out of this while I'm explaining it. But if you look at the Chiefs, you got a 2-point win against the Broncos, a 6-point win against the Bucks, a 7-point win against the Raiders, a 10-point win against the Niners, 13-point win against the Saints, 7-point win against the Chargers, a 5-point win against the Falcons, 1-point win against the Bengals, and a 7-point win against the Ravens. So in the Chiefs' entire year with their 9 wins, they only have one win of greater than 10 points. So they only have one win that would cover this 10.5 points. So on a road game against a Panthers team on a bye week, who, look, are they still shit? Yes, but they're on a 2-game winning streak, right? Like they have won 2 close games as of late. They're at home on off a bye week, feeling kind of decent. They get Jonathan Brooks. He's going to be healthy for the first game, for the first time this year. Their best running back, in my opinion. I really liked him coming out of the draft. So I 100% have the Panthers covering this. I think the Chiefs win this by like 7 or 8 points, definitely. But I don't think they're a blowout kind of a team. I think they're a win the game for sure kind of a team. But I got the Panthers covering this one. I actually feel I might put the Panthers and the Titans on a parlay with something else safe. But I really like both of these picks here. I'm not feeling the Chiefs winning a blowout at all. But like I said, the Panthers are losing this game. But I just think that they'll somehow, some way keep it within 11 points. That brings us to the next game, Broncos-Raiders. Broncos 5.5-point road favorites. So I talked about the Broncos bouncing back against Atlanta because I thought that the Broncos had, a tough blowout against the Ravens, and then obviously a horrific loss against the Chiefs where they played really well. So I felt like the motivation was high and that they would show up against Atlanta. And I think they're going to ride that momentum a little bit. I think the Raiders are a team that, the thing is I think they're in such a difficult spot to generate purpose, right? Like I think it's hard for the coach to really rally the troops because they all know he's gonna go. They saw Devontae Adams leave. They see Max Crosby hating his life whenever he has to play. They know that both their quarterbacks have been benched 5 times each. It would be hard to really light a fire under this team. That's my issue with these kind of bad teams, is that there's certain kind of bad teams that they can still find a purpose and have a really good day. I don't know that about the Raiders. So I got the Broncos winning a road divisional game here. Give me the Broncos by you know what? I'll take them by 12, 13 points. Cardinals Seahawks. This one is interesting. Cardinals off a bye week, Seahawks off a big win. I got the Cardinals winning for that reason. Now I think this series is going to get split. If the Seahawks could split against the Niners, I think they'll definitely split against the Cardinals as well. But I think the fact that the Cardinals are off a bye week and the Seahawks are off a really, really big win, I like the Cardinals here, especially considering that this game is just a pick 'em. But yeah. But here's the thing. While the Cardinals are the team I think is going to win, I really want the Seahawks to win, right? Because that puts them at 6-5. It puts the Cardinals at 6-5. It keeps the division interesting. I think if the Cardinals get to 7-4 and the Seahawks get to 5-6, I think the Rams are going to lose and drop to 5-6. I think the Niners they could definitely lose against Green Bay. They could drop to 5-6. I want to see this division stay tight and competitive. So I want the Seahawks to win. But I like the team off the bye here. So I'm taking the Cardinals. Next game is Niners and Packers. So my kind of belief about this game is that I think this is the game where there's kind of a swing here. So if you look at kind of where the Packers are at, right? Their last 3 weeks, actually no, their last 4 weeks of football are this, right? 3-point game against the Jaguars where Jordan Love wasn't healthy. Loss against the Lions where they got outplayed pretty decisively. A bye week. And the Bears win where they won, but very well could have lost. Talk about inches away from could have lost, right? So I don't think the Packers have been playing their best football. And I think this is the kind of game where it catches up to them. Because they're going up against the Niners team that just had a really bad loss. And that loss came against a bad game against the Buccaneers, which, hold on, did the Niners play? Yeah, they played Dak. But yeah, they didn't have the best game against the Bucs. The Bucs very easily could have won that game, and the Bucs had no receivers. But yeah, I just think that in a game where neither team is playing their best football, and neither of these teams are playing their best football, right? I kind of lean towards the team with the worst record because a 5-5 Niners team fighting for their life needs this game a little. They just intrinsically need it more than the 7-3 Packers team that honestly has a little bit more room for error. Now, I think a loss here gets the Packers right for the Dolphins the next week, and they probably boat race the Dolphins. But I think in a competitive game like this, amongst two like teams that are similar in terms of like, I would say from if you just look at the quality of these teams, they're on like even standing. That's why it's such a close spread. So yeah, I just do I think the Packers are going to be 8-3 and the Niners are going to be 5-6? Not really. So I'm taking the Niners to even up the records a little bit here. I'm taking the Niners too. Gail says we must win. We must win. That's the spirit of the cheeseheads there. Do you guys have a rivalry with the Niners? I'm curious because you guys are both historic teams that have been good in the NFC for a long time. So like, is Packers Niners a rivalry? It's crazy. As much as the Niners have been horrible season, they're 5-5. Yeah, definitely. They've had crazy injuries. They've not been in the best shape. And somehow, some way, they're one game out of the playoffs because of their division. It's crazy. But yeah, I got the Niners winning this game again. If the records were flipped and the Niners were 7-3 and the Packers were 5-5, game like this, I'm just taking the team with the worst record. Sunday Night Football, we got the Eagles and Rams. Eagles are 3-point road favorites. For this game, the main thing I'm just looking for is like, are the Eagles going to beat themselves? Because if the Eagles don't get in their own way, they're going to steamroll the Rams. We are much better than the Rams. And if we play our best football, they play their best football, we win this game by like 14 points. Problem is that the Eagles just don't seem to show up and just not get in their way, right? Against the Cowboys, self-inflicted wounds or self-inflicted errors kept it a close game until around halftime, and that's when the game turned. If you look at the game against the Commanders, self-inflicted errors kept it a close game until Saquon Barkley ended the game, right? We're definitely a team that, like, the fact that we're 3-point favorites, I think makes a ton of sense. So if we were, again, playing our best football, I think we should be like 8-point favorites, right? But we're not. So I'm taking the Eagles. I think we probably win this game. Look, we beat the Commanders by 8. We beat the Cowboys by like 28. But again, that's because the Cowboys are just a different level of ass. But like, I think we beat. I'd give us an 8-point win. I give us an 8-point win. But again, like the place I'm at with the Eagles is that I can never feel good about the fact that we're not gonna get in our own way, because there's always the possibility that Sirianni or Jalen Hurts is going to do something wild. So that fear always exists in my head, but we're better than this Rams team. And the way this Rams team has played last 2 weeks too, I would be so pissed with the underperformance. The Rams, look at their last 2 games. They beat the Patriots by 6 points, and then they lost to the Dolphins. Guys, that's really bad. I was pretty disappointed. I thought the Rams, as they would get healthy, would start to play better and look like the team that made the wild card last week. But the team last year, the team that made the wild card last year would not squeak past the Patriots and lose to the Dolphins, right? We're talking about 2 of the teams that have stumbled through the season in the AFC thus far. So, yeah, that's my issue with these 2 teams. With the Rams against those 2 teams. But that's what I have on Sunday night. And then on Monday Night Football, we got the horrible last game of the week. We got the Chargers hosting the Ravens. Ravens are 3-point road favorites. When it comes to the records, this is 7-3 against 7-4. But an important thing to keep in mind is that the Ravens are coming off a loss, and I think the Chargers are on a winning streak, right? The Chargers are on a 4-game winning streak. So I quite simply just think that 4-game winning streak comes to an end. I think the Ravens are coming off a tough loss. If you think about the game that the Chargers won, they certainly tried to lose that game, which I guess you could say the same as for Baltimore against Cincinnati. But yeah, I think Baltimore, this is a bit of a get-right game for them. While the Chargers, I think front 7 could pose some issues. I think the secondary is not going to be able to hold up the same way that the Steelers did last week. And I think Baltimore, however physical Harbaugh football teams are, and I mean Jim Harbaugh's football teams, the Steelers are a great preparation to go up against the Jim Harbaugh team. So I think the Ravens will be ready for this one. I think they're going to win this by, I would give them a 7-point win in this game. So I'm taking the Ravens with this one. But I certainly don't expect a blowout. I don't think a hard bowl could ever be a blowout. And yeah, that's how I have this game going. So shout out to everybody that's been watching live. We just passed the hour mark. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. For anybody that's new, this is Playoff Landscaping, where every week on Tuesdays, we look through the playoff landscape, and we it's kind of like a stock watch for every team. How do we feel about every team's playoff chances? And then we put it in tier format like such. Where is it? And we revisit it every week. So that's what it is, people. That's what we do every Tuesdays. If you join this stream late, feel free to watch back from the beginning afterwards and show up next week. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so you don't miss whenever I go live. My next live is going to be Sunday night, Eagles-Rams. That's when I'll be back. So make sure you guys are here when that happens. We'll have a whole Sunday's worth of football to talk about. And then we'll be back from on Monday as well for the Hard Bowl. We're going to get 2 streams. I'm going to make up for not being here on Thursday by being here on Monday as well. And then we'll be back on Tuesday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 3 streams in 3 days. That's what it's going to be, people. Shout out to everybody that's tapped in. Like I said, make sure you guys on your way out hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys later. Take care.